Get through this very quickly because it's taken me 20 minutes to pass 2 times I've done it. Today is the 9th of February 9/11 at 3:43 in the afternoon over here in the UK. The UK is set to be battered by a rare Arctic cyclone all month. So all through February we'll be experiencing snow throughout the UK. I don't know if that's going to be in London because we're in the city and it's pretty enclosed, it's pretty warm, and snow doesn't tend to last here for very long. But with snow falling all month, it's possible the entire UK will see snow. And that could be connected to this part of the video we see here. We've got what I think is Big Ben covered in snow piles all over the place. So we're seeing this video unfold, at least meteorologically, in terms of the weather events that are taking place. Storm Maya is set to blast the Pacific Northwest, the Midwest, and the Northeast into next week. But this week and at the moment, it is currently hitting the Northeast, particularly Seattle, which seems to be getting buried in snow, which is the language they're using. Seattle buried by the biggest snowstorm in 2 years, and it's obviously a pretty dire situation with the amount of snow that's falling and the possibility of other events happening on the West Coast. I see it as pretty important to bring you guys these reports. Can't remember exactly what I had up on this screen. It wasn't Obama before. I think it was this. Let me see. Yes, it was. So in this scene here, the LC scene, lunar calendar, we have a reference to 4 and 5 down here. I think that's lunar calendar 4 and 5. Looking at the lunar calendar 4th and 5th was yesterday the 8th and today the 9th. And it may be that it's referenced again with the 8 forming in the middle of the apple and the 8 also making a 9 and an F. Actually, I'll make it go a little bit further so we can see that. Okay, so you can see the 8 was formed in the middle, and when you're looking at the number 9 and the F off to the side, you've also got the letter S here, so multiple layers of interpretation. The 4th and the 5th on the lunar calendar is the 8th and the 9th. On the Gregorian calendar, the 8th and the 9th was Friday and Saturday, and the F also represents February. So all of that currently unfolding. I think this wave represents the huge surf that's moving towards Hawaii at the moment. So huge surf, high winds, and potential for unprecedented coastal flooding. As I said, that may be exactly what we're seeing here. Today, yesterday, these problems are occurring around Hawaii, which is where the volcano is. Then we have the next date reference, which I think is February 2 and the 10th, 1 and 0. February 10th, which is obviously following on from the 8th and the 9th. And I think that's when we have the eruption of the volcano. At least that appears to be when the lotus flower forms, which signifies the eruption of the volcano. Again, 210 is referenced in the hangman here, XX 210, and we also have a reference to VI or IV. Looking at it as VI, if you go to the lunar calendar, February the 10th is also the number 6, which is VI, so it could be that we're looking at February the 10th for something associated with death and an eruption on the Hawaiian Big Island in association with Kilauea, or even Mauna Loa. The two seem to be connected. The whole twin system thing, symbiotic relationship, one feeds the other. Again, we've talked about the whole twin system thing in this video before. Even at the end of the video, we have a reference to an S in the tsunami wave, 11 and 10, and obviously the 11 could be looked at as the number 2, so S210, Sunday, February 10th. That's obviously coming up tomorrow, and it seems to be connected with the tsunami wave. But I'm not sure that the tsunami comes on that day, because I think the next scene we see after the apple is Obama, and we have a reference to either the V and I, which could be the number 6, or it could be that this is the number 7, which, if we're looking at on the lunar calendar, would be the next date, which is the 11th, and that would be 2/11 or 11/11. So it may be that the tsunami actually comes on that day after the volcanic eruption on the 10th, and I think that it may be backed up, in the sense that when we look at the Psalm 23, 23 is also a representation of the number 11, in 2300 hours, number 11. But we also have what could be a sideways, upside down number 7. And looking at that, it's another reference to another common number pattern, 711, basically 7 twice. So that could be when the tsunami comes, because once we're outside the classroom, that's when we see the huge tsunami wave approaching from the west coast. In the background, we see that even though the school that Bush went to is in Florida, and we have what looks like the Statue of Liberty and the Empire State Building in the background over here, it's possible that this is depicting the east coast with the submarines, and over here approaching from the west is depicting the west coast in association with the volcanic eruption, landslide, tsunami scenario. But also on Sunday the 10th, there'll be an asteroid passing by. The reason I'm talking about this one is because its name is CB2. Numerically, its name is 322, which is obviously, you know, a Freemason reference. But not only that, we have that number depicted in the teacher's hair over here, 322, with the 2's being upside down, and that could be depicting a numerical reference to the asteroid. And I say that again because above the teacher is what I've interpreted as the Earth, the asteroid, and an impact. And obviously the number 322 is right there. So if 322 is CB2, then that's coming tomorrow, Sunday the 10th, where we have a reference to 210 in a number of places throughout the video, including at the end, 210 and an S, Sunday, with the hangman, 210, and the VI, in terms of February the 10th being the 6th lunar day. I'm just going to repeat that because I'm not sure if you would have heard me over the computer. But yes, February the 10th, looking at it, I'll just do it again, annoying. S210, Sunday, February the 10th, that could be a reference back to the hangman, 210s, and then VI, which on the lunar calendar could be February the 10th, which is the 6th lunar day, which VI represents in Roman numerals. And the LC seen here with the 2 seeds, 1 seed and 0 seed, 210, and the S forming, as well as the F forming, Sunday, February the 10th. The 8, again, we've been over the interpretation of that many times, but as well as the other interpretations that are brought for it, it represents fissure number 8 and the eruption coming out of there. Fissure number 8, I believe, leads down to the ocean, which obviously, if we've got a potential for unprecedented coastal flooding in association with this storm that's moving towards Hawaii, then, you know, it could be that they use the excuse of water getting into the volcano and causing it to erupt. I have no idea if an asteroid impact is going to be used in the excuse as well. You know, maybe the asteroid impact causes the already high waves to push even further inland, basically like a tsunami, and that causes the volcano to erupt, causing a landslide and the earthquake, which causes the tsunami moving towards the west coast, and the west coast is absolutely freezing, covered in snow. If a tsunami comes during this time, the potential for the tsunami wave to freeze inland is quite high. Obviously, you'd get some withdrawal of the wave, but as I said, with the temperatures being so cold, it's possible that you could end up with a whole expanse of land completely frozen over, frozen in time, an ice age essentially. And you know, that has been depicted many times throughout the video, a sort of ice age type scenario, buildings partially covered in snow, ice, winter is coming, you know, it's whole that Game of Thrones reference, and that reference being used by Donald Trump in terms of sanctions. There's so many different things going on at the moment, and so many different ways to look at things. So it's, you know, a little bit difficult to try and like, yeah, pin down this is exactly how it goes. But, you know, I've tried, and in terms of events, I think we've all been pretty clear on what the events are that we're looking out for. They're pretty standard in all the videos that we've done. It's just the dates that keep shifting, and obviously it's like, okay, why do you try and figure out the dates? Well, why would you not try and figure out the dates if something catastrophic like this is planned to happen? Wouldn't you want to, you know, get ahead of it, warn people, try and do something good to counterbalance their evil? To me, it just makes sense. It just does. But obviously, I have to put a limit on myself, which is why I've given up to February the 18th, which is another 9 days from now. But the way things are lining up, all the things we talked about in the previous videos with Iran and their missiles, and, you know, Israel and their war game going on right now with the United States, ending the INF treaty with Russia, China saying that they're ending their no first use nuclear policy, the situations in Venezuela. Nations are definitely rising against nations. So if anything, that part of the Bible is definitely unfolding. Hearts are definitely waxing cold. You can see the way people are just treating each other, talking to each other, around immigration, around politics, around everything. Everything's just kind of split down the divide. There was always a different mindset for people, but there always seemed to be a way of connecting and understanding. But in this day and age, especially politically, it's like, well, you know, calm down. But, you know, this is it. This is the hearts waxing cold and people beginning to turn against each other. Even family against family, you've seen it. That, you know, people won't come to Thanksgiving together because of Donald Trump. You know, either one supports and one doesn't. They can't get along, so the family breaks apart. Imagine that. That is absolutely crazy, in my opinion. But that is the realistic, or the reality of the world that we're currently living in. Ideology is taking over, and people are just really going right or left. And in my opinion, it's another connection to the iPad Go 2 video. We see clearly the brain in half. The right and the left hemisphere of the brain, they can't connect anymore. So it's not only a symbolic depiction of a dissociation in the mind, it's also, to me, a symbolic depiction of what's happening in our politics, in our society. This split amongst the left and the right is, yeah, it's pretty strong. And in my honest opinion, I think that overall, in the end, when things start going bad, people's mentalities will switch to the hard right, which is what I think the flag is associated, is representing. Sorry, it's not just the destruction of America. The flag is literally ripped in half. You can see half the flag is flying away, and the flag is blowing hard to the right. It's not just fluttering, it's blowing hard to the right. So in my mind, that's a symbolic representation of America's mentality, its politics. The left sheared off after these events, you know, oh, no borders, no nothing. That is going to completely destroy the left wing, as people like to call it. Not me personally, but I'll use the terminology so you guys, you know, get the references. But yeah, half the flag ripped, that's America divided. Flag blowing hard to the right, that's a hard stance against, you know, everyone, pretty much. So yeah, it really depicts a dire situation for the United States. As I said, the UK is involved in there, but the main focus seems to be on the United States mainland, with the West Coast and Hawaii starting off the whole situation, symbolically birthing the Antichrist system with the eruption and the tsunami, the waters breaking, moving forward. Another biblical reference to the dragon being cast down and then sending the waters after the woman being the representation of the Statue of Liberty. Liberty, obviously, being a representation of freedom, and that being destroyed. The country moving to the hard right because of all this, situations that's going on in terms of war and whatnot. And come February the 14th, well, it looks like there's some form of connection to Valentine's Day blackout. As I said, last year it was Valentine's Day massacre. This year it appears to be like Valentine's Day blackout. And then following on from that, we're on to the 15th, where it appears there may be a connection with a tsunami for the East Coast, and that may be in association with the drones that Russia have, or at least blamed on those because they exist. And again, with the 4-5 reference, you've also got the X contained within the number 4. So X4, X5, 14th and 15th, tsunami for New York, where the other way you look at it is the 4th and the 5th, or on the lunar calendar, which is the 8th and the 9th. Moving on to the 10th, the eruption of the volcano. Moving on to the 11th, the tsunami. The 12th and the 13th, I'm sure things are happening around that time. But the 14th and the 15th appear to be blackout and another tsunami, but this time for the East Coast. That's my interpretation of the next couple of days that are coming in. The end of it is coming up to February the 18th, so I'm not sure it's going to, extend to that time, considering all the things that are unfolding, the weather and the situations with the military and everything else, immigration, Venezuela, China, Russia, North Korea, Iran. But we're trying our best to keep ahead of it all and trying to update these interpretations as they go. I would hope that if these things are revealed, the plans can't go forward. But to be honest, I really don't think they care, because once the blackout comes and people aren't able to access the information, it's not really going to matter. Obviously, some people will believe you, but the majority, if they don't see evidence, they're not going to really believe you. And it's difficult because in a blackout, if it's a cyber attack or something like that, you can still retain your information on disks and stuff like that. But if it's an EMP and the circuits are fried, even if you retain the information on a memory card or something, what are you going to plug it into? So I think that's why these things may go ahead, even if we were to get it correct. But I pray against it. You guys do the same. Have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.